Hey, what's up, fam? We got the kind of rival character finally Ethan Zero Chapter 4, Wise Steiner. And I know that some people might not like this kind of idea that I want him to, but let me explain. So we have the first kind of guy to set it, Musica, the kind of the same position within Rave Master, who actually had Haru's original powers. If you didn't know, Haru was originally supposed to be a alchemist and not have the Ten Commandment sword, but he was more of a utility fighter. He had a set amount of silver on him, and he had to kind of use that uh, sparingly in different manners to fight and to kind of create different objects and handle the situation or whatever he's doing. And we got that again in a different way within Fairy Tail with Gray, who it was more up to his imagination. He could make way more of weapons and constructs than Musica had, whereas Musica was much more of a risk style fighter. Gray was much more of a widespread kind of variety fighter. Both of them, though, were definitely of a imagination kind of fight the way you think style. Now, with, I think, apparently it's pronounced Weiss. I don't know. Weiss, Wise, whatever. What I'm hoping, I want him to have the same kind of, utility, multiple different weapons and styles fighting. And I know people might say, like, I don't want him to be the same, and I don't mean exactly the same. I want it to be kind of like the same style of, he's got a large kit, the way that Gray and Musica could both kind of create all these different weapons. They had a set style, obviously Musica's main thing is he had a lance. Gray's main thing is he had, his ice swords, he had some pretty cool ice swords that seemed the most consistent with his weapon selection. Obviously he had his freeze lancer, but he didn't use that a whole lot after, like, post time skip. The first time skip he barely used it. Seemed way more for, straight swords. He got to some armors, but with Wise, whatever, I would like him to be more like, because my whole thing with what I believe he is the doctor or the professor that made Happy Bot, as a robot, but somehow an experiment kind of de-aged him and he lost his memory, but he's still obviously really smart, and he could be kind of that same creative style fighter, but more of a scientific inventor. And maybe kind of the way that you have a Blue Beetle or that nanotech Iron Man suit, where it's more up to the imagination, but it's more of more prep time. Like he invents something beforehand, kind of like Mayuri from Bleach, but more cool machines and less drugs, But it'd be really cool to eventually see him kind of like a Blue Beetle or Iron Man in these cool suits, and he's got like floating plasma cannons behind him, and a bunch of other neat stuff, you know what I mean? It could be, there's a lot of potential behind it, and I think it would be interesting to see him showing off more of whereas Musica was more of kind of figuring out the alchemic side of things. Gray was more of, a much more open imagination, but you can kind of take that same idea between the first two of, think and fight the way you kind of imagine things, but do it in a more scientific, techie, weird-based way that can fit the whole sci-fi thing. And I think that'd be pretty fun, and it could easily prove as not only he could be like the, smart, cool guy, rival guy, but it could also be the kind of upgrade dude, to where maybe it gets to a point where, Shiki's ether gear isn't up to snuff, so he gets a new piece of equipment from Wise, something like that. Or maybe Happy Bot gets an upgrade and he can turn into a jetpack, or, there are a large plethora of different things he could bring to the team. But anyway, I'm going to wrap this video up, and I'd like to hear your opinions on what you think he should be like. I saw him carrying that suitcase, so I'm wondering if it's going to be like his tinkering suitcase with all his inventions and components to make stuff. Maybe he'll open it and a bunch of compartments will come out, and he'll have all these different things to do. But otherwise, thank you very much. Maybe check out my channel. I do mostly manga stuff and some comics. Maybe drop a comment below or give me a thumbs up, and hopefully subscribe to my channel. But otherwise, thank you very much. Bye.